Good timing on that one. What's up, y'all? Cattle Prod. Yeah, it's Friday. Let's get that shit blasting, dude. How everybody doing? Survived another week. Oh. Gonna jam some Hate Eternal. Conquering the Throne. It's Conquering the Throne, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I got to see Hate Eternal play. I don't remember who I saw them with, but I know I saw them. This is Tim Young is on drums. Wasn't Derek Roddy on drums for this? For Hate Eternal, like early on in their... It was Derek Roddy on drums. They got Doug Cerrito on guitars. That dude was in Suffocation for a while. Wasn't he on Pierce From Within? One of the best Suffocation albums? I know everybody's like, oh, Human Waste is the best. Let's be honest. Pierce From Within is fucking amazing. That is one of my favorite death metal albums of all time. Everybody in the comments like, do a top 5. No, I'm not doing a fucking top 5. But I will say this, Pierce From Within is one of my favorite death metal albums of all time. But anyways, in the meantime, we have Hate Eternal. Not bad. So anyways, there's a lot of motorcycle club videos, not videos, but channels on YouTube, and a lot of videos. But I check out a few of them every now and then to see what they talk about. Some of it's I'm not recommending anybody in particular, but I'm not shaming anybody in particular either. But it's like hearing other people's stories about motorcycles, MCs, and just their experiences with it. So anyways, you guys out in the audience, y'all may have your feelings or thoughts or knowledge about that. That's fine. Like, oh, motorcycles, aren't those like gangs or whatever? No, they're not gangs. A lot of clubs are just traditional clubs. They're exactly like a club of anything. But then you got those 1%er types, which are just like really hardcore motherfuckers. So just think of like the 1%ers is kind of like your ultra brutal death metal. Like you got those people that are like, oh man, I like Ghost, BC, or Ghost, that band Ghost. And we all think like, oh, that's not metal, you know. Well, that's kind of how the MCs are ranking. So your 1%ers tend to be like the heavy hitters and the most extreme of them all, if you were to compare the two. Just think about your guys at the death metal shows that are the toughest ones. But really, when it comes to like those types of people and stuff like that kind of scene, like the craziest stuff I ever saw, like the 1%ers weren't doing it. It's like the strangest thing. The craziest shit I saw was from riding clubs, RCs, which are just like, they don't have territories, they have patches, but they're just very basic. They just get together on the weekend and go for a ride someplace. Now, I was hanging out with a club, and it was a support club for a 1%er club, so I was around 1%ers kind of a lot there for a while, but this was when I was still kind of new and just getting really introduced to it all as a prospective club member. So this is my first big one to go to like a big open house, which was more than an open house, that particular club. It was their first, like they had just gotten it. So they had just gotten the building, they got it all cleaned up, and we're like, hey, let's have everybody over for our first official open house. Very common thing. So I was excited because I was like, well, I was happy for them that they got their clubhouse put together and the way they wanted it, and they were inviting people out, and I got to meet a lot of cool people and just introduce myself so that I could be seen. it's a serious situation when you got like a bunch of like one percenters in a room, and you're not one, and they want to know who you are. So you kind of get asked questions in kind of a really casual, polite format. They're really casual, very polite. But you know when one of them's talking to you, there's like 5 more that are listening in. They're not looking, but they're listening in. You know, see how you handle yourself. You know, I've talked about that a lot of times. Older, stronger, wiser guys will give you shit to see how you react to it. And everybody else is watching. So yeah, that's kind of how that scene works. So I start getting the questions like, oh, okay, you know, what clubs have you been to? Who do you know? The standard stuff. And I started giving the answers. It's all good. I knew I was being watched. I knew I was being listened to. But I wasn't faking anything. Everything for me was pretty genuine. I think that's one comment I get from people is I'm pretty genuine on this channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is my vibe. I try to be as genuine as possible. I don't like to hide anything. I just kind of tell you how I feel. So anyways, I had been grilled by the 1%ers, and of course the one guy who was doing the talking was older than me. So I knew this dude had respect and clout from everybody in that building. So I was like, but he was a cool guy who was like, asked me questions, I answered him, and he seemed satisfied. I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good, man. Have a good time. So I reconvened back to my little club where I was with, the groups I was with, making my rounds through the crowd, and I'm telling you, man, this building, they jam-packed us in there. We was very full. And it was also like really cold outside, so nobody really wanted to go outside because it was just kind of so cold that it wasn't comfortable. So I don't know any of the other clubs other than my own and the Diamond Club. So there were RCs there, which is cool, normal thing, not a big deal. They're paying their respects and saying, hey, it's what you do. But this riding club, and I still to this day don't even know where the hell they were, anything about them. All I know is this one event. We're listening to Hate Eternal for those of you who just skip around in the video and don't pay attention to my stories. Hate Eternal, Conquering the Throne. So anyways, I'm kind of the new guy, so I don't really understand the pecking order, and I kind of don't understand a lot of things about how this scene works, so I'm just being more polite than usual and more level-headed and calm than usual because I don't know. There's so much I don't know. I'm that new. I just don't know anything, and I don't know anyone. So there's this riding club, and I didn't fully understand that they were a riding club, and I didn't fully understand that the ranking systems and how it worked. But this one riding club guy, he must have been new, assuming he was, couldn't answer things about his own club, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, you're an RC, cool, where are you guys at? And it was kind of like a city or something like that, or neighborhood or whatever. And he said it, and I was like, I'm not familiar with where that's at. And then he couldn't even explain to me where the fuck he was from. Now, that's not a good sign, but I noticed the dude had a big, tall drink, and he'd been taking some pretty big boy sips off of it. So he was kind of intoxicated. Damn, glad you're not... I found out he wasn't riding. They drove there in a car. They all kind of just piled into the car and just drove there. Like I said, because of weather. It was just so cold that only a few people, the hardest core people, rode that day. I didn't. I piled into a vehicle. It's too fucking cold, man. I don't know if y'all have ridden in below 30-degree temperatures, but that's insane. If it's like 35 or under and you try to ride, guys, that's fucking insane. And a lot of times your bike just won't want to start. I've had batteries die because they just didn't want to start. To put them up to a jumper, like, come on, start. I have got to ride my bike. Anyways, long story. So this RC guy, riding club, remember, he's down as RCs, MCs, 1%ers. He's down there, and he's intoxicated at their club. You don't want to do that, dude. You don't want to get so obliterated that you can't take care of yourself, especially around this group where you're being scrutinized. Such a bad look. Such a bad look. Well, I didn't drink at this point, but I knew, even if I did drink, don't drink that much. Just sip your drink. So this RC guy got tipsy as fuck, man. It's the point where he couldn't really answer basic questions without, I don't know. That wasn't really the problem. The problem was he was like, have you seen blah, blah, blah? And I don't remember what he mentioned. It was some normal thing in the world. A group of people or an issue in the news or whatever. I don't remember. It was like, isn't that fucking stupid? And he just kept saying, isn't that fucking stupid? Those people are so fucking stupid. And now he's starting to bow up like, hey, let me tell you another thing. And another thing. He just kept carrying on. To the point it was now cringe to listen to this guy. If we had just taken me and this guy and put us anywhere else, this conversation would have been just as awkward and just as annoying. The point, I was like, now trying to do the, like, how do I get out of this conversation? And eventually I was like, all right, man, I'm going to go over here. Like, grabbing one of my club guys and, like, get me the fuck out of this conversation. And they're like, nah, suffer, bitch. Deal with drunk guy. Like, go on, get me out of this fucking situation. So, eventually I get myself extricated from that situation. And I'm, like, thinking, whoa, that guy is way too drunk to be here. Like, way too... Like, even I knew in this scene that was a bad idea. I've hung out with some bad motherfuckers before that weren't even in the club scenes. They were just in the street gang scene. Man, I knew everything he was doing was like fashion faux pas. Yeah, it was like really bad taste, bad class to be acting that way. Because you're not only representing yourself, you're representing that club that you're with as well. And that's why everybody views that. It's like, yeah, this guy's a jackass. Man, what's up with that club for having that guy in there? That's how they started viewing that. Where one percenters started looking at those RCs, and it just took one of those glances, one of those disapproving glances, and I caught that glance from there to there across the room, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to end well. And the guy who was basically my mentor in this, we have a different name for him, I'm not going to share it with you because that's a club business thing. But basically you get mentored by a guy in the club, and it's on him to look after you, to teach you, to show you the things, and if anything happens to you, it's on him. So, yeah, you can catch a beat down from a one percenter, and then your own club, your own mentor is going to beat the piss out of you too. Didn't happen to me, by the way. Didn't need to happen to me. But this riding club guy, it was about to happen to him. So the one percenters get that disapproving glare to that RC, and I'm like, man, shit's going down. My mentor is like, oh yeah, they're about to tune that motherfucker up. Tune that motherfucker up means like tuning up your motorcycle because it doesn't work right. That club member ain't acting right. He's about to get tuned up. So all of a sudden they disappeared. I was kind of like, sipping my Dr. Pepper or Sprite or whatever I'm drinking, because I'm drinking a soda. I'm like, fuck that, dude. I want everybody to see I am drinking a fucking soda. I'm not drinking alcohol. Don't fucking point that shit at me. I don't even want to be accused of having to drink too much to drink. I didn't want to be accused of it, so I was drinking a soda out of a can. And it's soda, not pop, Yankees. No, I'm playing. I love y'all. Comment down below if you call it pop. Comment down below if you call it soda. We'll see who's in the comments. So anyways, they disappeared. And it's still a big room, still a very populated room. And I noticed that club was going. I was like, oh fuck, where'd those guys go? Whatever, I'm still mingling, meeting people. Oh, and another thing one percenters love to do to you, in case you want to know, they love to like mumble to where they're not speaking very loudly or very clearly to where you have to like listen to them. What the fuck that guy say? They love doing that shit to you. They're fucking with you. Because they want to see how you do with it. So they just, I'm like, right on. I'm going over there now. Nice to meet you. It's kind of how I handle those situations. So that was continuing to happen. And then I noticed after a little bit of mingling, that club came back. And that one guy, no drink in his hand. Very quiet, kind of shoulders down, head down. He looked a little roughed up. Didn't look roughed up, but he just kind of looked like something happened to him. And they made that motherfucker make another lap around there. Ooh, that had to suck. That had to suck, knowing your entire club just got looked at by the one percenters And they looked at you, the bad club member, the motherfucker, and they took him outside, did something to him, and he came back, had made him walk around, parading him around. But he took it like a man, I guess, as far as I could see. Yeah, man, that was a rough situation. You ever get put in that situation, don't bitch, don't fight, don't moan, just take your fucking licks. And yeah, I did get reprimanded a few times in the club scene for making mistakes. Just take your fucking ass chewing and just be like, and learn from it. That's the best thing I can give you. And guys, that's the best advice you can do, even on a job. Hanging around, like, even at your job, just take your ass chewing and learn from it. When you hang out around hardcore dudes like that, just knowing your ass chewing could be a little bit more in depth than just a mere, you fucked up and here's how. Yeah, you might get hands put on you. And yeah, I had hands put on me one time, and it was one of those ones where I realized I had no leg to stand on. I just had to take it. It was an unpleasant feeling, but it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. That brings me to a point of wisdom. It's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. And that information can be transferred anywhere. To your friends, to your significant others, to your family, to your job, and to any social group that you're in. It ain't what happens to you, it's what you do about it. And if you sit there and take your medicine, take it like a man, don't get all butthurt about it, shit will work out for you. It's not a guarantee it'll work out for you, but enough people will see that and have respect. So yeah. For those of you who were curious about that kind of scene, there's a little story from me early on in that scene. You're listening to Hate Eternal, Conquering the Throne. So yeah, some of the worst behaviors I saw in the motorcycle clubs came from the riding clubs. And I guess they get in there and they think they're hot shit because they got that patch on their back. And they just don't understand the pecking order. Or they just don't understand the seriousness of these situations. But a lot of those one percenters, man, to be a one percenter, they go through an unmitigated amount of shit, bullshit, and work to get to that position. Man, I just remember seeing seeing what those guys went through, just going to their clubhouses and hanging out, or getting invited to go to their parties, and seeing what their prospective guys have to go through. Damn, that's work. Damn, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work just to get accepted into a club, an MC, a traditional MC. It's a lot of work just to get accepted into that. That Diamond Club stuff, my God. I remember commenting to a prospective one percenter and was like, dude, the shit they make y'all do. And, he was like, for real. Yeah, he's like, you still interested in this? And I'm like, man, I want to, but now I don't. That's how intense that was, that I was like, bring it on. I can take some bullshit. I can do some work. I can carry bags of ice, make drinks, clean a clubhouse. I got this. That's not all. And I saw all those other little things that came with it. Ooh. I already had mad respect for one percenters because I knew them before I started getting into the club scene. And you only meet like one or two, so you know that like they're hardcore just because you meet so few of them in your life. And then having to see what their day-to-day life as a prospective member is like, my God, that's cool. So I already had a large amount of respect. Now I have an even bigger amount of respect for them. So anybody who ever wore that diamond, you are hardcore, sir. You're way harder core than most people I have met. And that is for real. I'm Cattle Prime, your Appalachian Warlord. Y'all, it's been great. I thank you for everything. All the comments, and hanging out. I appreciate it. Anyways, we'll see you on the next one, y'all. Later.